Welcome to the Instant Payments Podcast. I'm your host, Tal Clark, CEO of Instant Financial, and we're back for part two of our conversation with Stephanie Callihan, the CFO of Cotton Patch Café, a restaurant group with almost 50 locations across Texas and New Mexico. Stephanie, thanks again for being a guest on the show. Let's jump right back in and talk more about the finance trends in the restaurant industry. We talked on our last episode a little bit about how Cotton Patch has paid out over $77 million in pay and tips through Instant. What have you heard directly from team members about getting their tips digital quickly and without fees? Do you have, as an example, someone that may come from another restaurant that wasn't doing something like that? Do you get positive feedback on satisfaction?
Yeah, we absolutely do. And again, I think people who have worked at, as you mentioned, some of the places where they have to wait 2 weeks for their pay, it creates a lot of dissatisfaction from their standpoint. They don't understand why, especially with the rise of some of the gig economy jobs out there. If you drive for Uber, DoorDash, if you've done any task rabbit, things like that, any freelance work, there's an expectation of, this is my money. I have access to it when I need it. Why would the company be holding back the wages for this 2 week time period? So that the digital pay, having access to it daily, like I said, it just makes sense in, you know, the modern society and the way finances flow now that, all payments are essentially digital. You can use your card everywhere. You can order on Amazon, online ordering, all kinds of things. So it makes sense to have the payments natively come in digitally. Some of the banks don't even give you instant access to the cash that you're depositing into the bank. So if you were getting cash and you try to go and deposit it so that you can use your traditional bank debit card, you may still have to wait a few days before you have access to those funds. And again, doesn't quite make sense today.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, that's a great point. That's a great point. And we've been talking about tips primarily. And one of the unique things about Instant is that we are unique in being able to
Yeah.
provide both instant tips for your wait staff and earned wage access for those that aren't wait staff so that everybody has access every day. And I know you guys recently or have been using instant pay with us as well. So let's talk a little bit about what that transition looked like for you, aside from the tips, those employees that are, working for an hourly wage, having access. Talk a little bit about when you guys did that, adopted that piece and how that's working as well.
Yes, like I said, back in 2019, the original push was on, freeing up that cash from the daily tips piece of it. And then I think around 2021, 2022, we started moving into the daily pay, earned wage access. And we have seen more vendor providers, from our payroll provider, some of the restaurant scheduling systems do offer some amount of earned wage access. But I think, like you said, you're the only one that I know of has both earned wage access and tips on the same card. And again, for our employee base in particular, we may have some people who work a back of house job where they may work a host one day and a server the next day. And it would be really confusing to try to tell them, well, some of your pay comes on this card, unless it's this other situation, and then it comes on this card, and you have to create multiple accounts. More complexity for our back office teams, more complexity for our staff in terms of where is your money and where do I get it from. So having both of those options on one card, which I think is again unique to you and something that we're able to take advantage of. Or again, as our people promote through the system, if you moved from a server to a hourly management position, this was another one of the issues that we were having is people were hesitant to promote because they were getting that daily pay option when they were serving, and transitioning into a management position where you were getting your wages once every 2 weeks, even though you might become bonus eligible. Just that timing delay in terms of when I would have access to the cash made people hesitant to take the first step in terms of their growth trajectory for their career that's going to get them to the next level. So being able to have that daily pay option helps bridge that gap, keeps their funds floating in, and again, one card. And it's been really easy to set up for our payroll teams as well. I know that's one of the fears when we were first talking about this internally is like, well, I mean, we're already spending a lot of time doing payroll every 2 weeks. Now I'm going to have to account for payroll daily. What does that mean in terms of our payroll processing or reconciling on the back end? Okay, this employee's already taken $500, but we owe him 1,000. So what does that mean? And, the way your system works makes it actually really easy. We're on Paycor for our payroll provider, which you guys are integrated with. Again, I always tell everybody I speak very highly of your team. Again, we're very proud of our people. I think you should be very proud of your people. They're really helpful. They're really supportive. They always answer the call when we have a question or need something. And so as we're integrating with Paycor, setting up the direct integration to Instant, your team was actually really influential and very helpful to get us that connection set up, teaching us how to manage the integration, actually helping us with even some of our own internal reporting as we transition the system. But yeah, as employees now get hired at the store, they sign up for Instant on the app directly themselves. It pushes the direct deposit information up to Paycor so that our payroll systems automatically know where to deposit the funds to. We process payroll as normal every 2 weeks.
You make a great point that I don't know that we've really talked much about, which is if you have wait staff that is receiving their instant tips every day, and then they are actually receiving a promotion to a manager role, which is not hourly wage based, not being able to receive their tips or their pay when they work is a
Yeah,
disincentive for the promotion,
yeah,
and that's a really great point. And so instant pay resolves that, so they can get instant
yeah,
tips. If they move to an hourly wage, then they'll have the instant pay, and that's a really good point. So we'll have to. I
yeah.
think we need to add more clarity to that, maybe in our communication as we talk to people. So, um, well, super. I know you probably don't keep up with it, but there has been, I wouldn't want you to keep up with it. That's what we do, is that there's been a lot of conversations at the federal level in regards to earned wage access. So it does have the attention of regulators and those on Capitol Hill. And we're staying ahead of the curve there, and everything's great. But CFPB just put out an advisory opinion right before Christmas that essentially validated everything that we do the way Instant does it from an earned wage access perspective. We weren't expecting anything to happen, and it came out, and it essentially validates everything you guys do with us today, which is we're working with you as a business to make sure your employees have access to the wages, and there's no recourse, right? There's no credit checks, there's no recourse. This is literally the money that they earn, right?
Yeah.
And all we're doing in partnering with you guys is making sure they have access to the money they earn. And I want to sort of follow that up with a question, which is we still talk to executives in different businesses, whether it's a restaurant business, other businesses, other industries that are um, less comfortable with the idea. It's more about um, they feel like there's some protection level of their employees by not allowing them access to their wages each day, which it kind of blows my mind. That's completely,
Yeah.
first of all, it's not your wages, it's theirs at that point. Allow them to manage their wages. Um, what do you think about that? How can we, both as a restaurant industry, us as someone who are providing these services, how can we communicate the benefit? And what would you say about that if you were talking to the CEO or CFO or of another business?
Like you mentioned, since Instant is fee free, like you said, you're not a payday loan provider. There's no interest charges. There's no catch or gotcha, to the employee, or even on the employer side. There's no fee to the employer for providing the service to the employees, which makes it an easy, no brainer from the CFO seat to be able to sign up for the service. And then again, no fee for the employees. So again, we're not in any sort of like payday loan sort of situation. And again, all those payday loan providers stepped up because the traditional payroll cycle, or you're getting your funds every 2 weeks, doesn't necessarily work for everyone. That's what's efficient for the business, and that's why we pay every 2 weeks. not because there's anything magical about that timing cycle in terms of meeting the needs of the employee and the funds, and when their bills are coming due. When is their rent due? When is their credit card billing statement? When is the auto payment if you have a car loan? When does your babysitter want to be paid? If you have, get childcare so that you can come into work, you may be home that same day, and pay your childcare provider, whether it be professional or the it's your do it. Uh, you may need to go and get gas. You may need groceries. And so I think, the employees want to be treated like we're adults. We're responsible for our finances. You stay out of my pocketbook and my money. I'm going to come and work, and I get my money for providing the services. What's nice too is then if you need somebody to pick up a shift, it's like, hey, if you need a little bit of extra money this week, if you want to save up for a trip, if you want to boost your emergency fund, whatever it is, you can come in, pick up a shift.
Yep. All great points. All great points. And it sounds like you clearly know your employees very well and know where they are. And I think that's the message that we as Instant are trying to make sure that we can help educate other leaders in the restaurant space and other industries as well about the value of this. Again, it's their money. Walk in their shoes, and they need access, and allow
Mhm.
them that access. Right? That's simply all we're doing here. I'm curious as to, we talked a lot about pay and tipping and things that have gone on. What do you see over the next 5 to 10 years? What are some things that you guys are looking for today from a technology perspective that you think could be valuable to you and your people? Or, yeah, I think that's the question. What is it? What do you see? How do you see this evolving? Maybe not what we're doing, but other things you may need from us or others that would help with uh, your restaurant operations.
I think from, the tips side of it, it's interesting to see what happens with kind of tip culture in America. I do think that, kind of tips in a full service environment makes sense. I think generally studies have shown that the employees do make more money under the tip they would currently have versus who are to eliminate tips, then they go straight to wages. I know there's a little bit of pushback on that sometimes when the vending machine asks you for a tip, and it's gotten a little bit overboard. Um, but I think that'll be something that kind of continues to evolve over time. We've been able to introduce tablets for the servers to use. Restaurants and take on more tables at a time because they're able to stay out on the floor and be more present, which allows them to earn more. And we've seen better guest satisfaction scores because the server is able to stay out on the floor. So I think that's an interesting use of technology. And then everything AI is the hot button topics right now. So in addition to the financial planning resources that you guys have, tools and education in the instant portal, you know, are we getting to a point where there could be AI assistants that are helping monitor and say, hey, you earned $40 tips than usual this week. You set out, goals to pay down debt or to boost your emergency fund or to save for a trip. And so here's different strategies of how you could deploy those additional funds. Or did you know that if you were able to pick up one extra shift, you could, again, pay down credit card debt faster and save, thousands over, whatever the course of time is by having, that net present value, the time value of money coming in. So if there was AI assistance that could kind of help be a personal financial coach, within these tools, seeing what the employees are actually making, in real time and be able to help them meet their growth and their financial objectives. I think that's an interesting use case.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great idea. It's certainly something that we'll continue to follow and maybe be able to figure out together as we go forward with others, with you or other partners as well. So, well, good. Look, let's talk a little bit more. Let's get away from the business aspect a little bit because one thing that I think that's pretty cool, I know about your background, Stephanie, is that you are an equestrian,
Yes.
right? Uh, just real quick, just for everybody that might be listening, talk a little bit about that. What is it I know that you do a lot of riding, you do a lot of helping people with the horse. Talk about your background as an equestrian.
Yeah, so I compete in a sport called 3-day eventing, which actually started out as a military sport to see who had the best war horse. So it's like a equestrian triathlon, 3 phases, the same horse and rider competing across 3 different disciplines. The first one is dressage, which every year in the Olympics, that rave horse, you'll see some of the horse dancing that comes up. And the idea was to show who had the best trained horse, most obedient. Second day is cross country, which is supposed to simulate a day at the battlefield. If you think back, Normandy, brushes, foxholes, things like that. If the fastest way to get a message back to camp or to the front lines, in a straight line from here to wherever you need to go, over, under, or through any obstacles that are in the way. So it's at a low level, maybe a 1 mile course. At the high level, 4 miles over like 40 solid obstacles, water, just banks, horse and rider. The horse hasn't seen the course before they go out and compete. The rider can walk it and see galloping solid obstacles. And then the last day is show jumping, which a lot of people are familiar with, jumping over the colored rails. And that's to show that after a full day out on the battlefield, the horse still has the stamina, endurance, and precision to come out and be able to jump and be precise and not knock down the rails. So again, started out as kind of a military trial. It's now the only Olympic sport where men and women compete as equals. There's no men's and women's division. And so it's really fun, like the partnership that you have with the horse, and it takes a special, unique equestrian athlete to be able to do this. And they love the job. The ones that are good at it, they love doing it and get really excited to go out and perform.
So, well, that's amazing, and it's a beautiful sport as well. How often do you do one of the events?
Um, the horse that I have now is 24, so he's not currently competing. Back at our peak, I'd probably do one competition a month, so like 12 times a year, traveling from Arizona out to California for competition. Um, Again, it's demanding, so you don't want to do too much and overdo it. You have the saying that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You also can't make him jump in if he doesn't want to. So
I get it. That makes a lot of sense. Well, look, I'd love to see that at some point. So that's great to hear about. So let's end with a round of rapid fire questions in one sentence, if possible. Tell me what you think about the following topics. Is there a habit or routine that you follow every day?
again, almost every day out of the barn, riding the horses, working with them, feeding, at least some amount of outdoor exercise every day. Now it's decent fresh air.
Okay, that's amazing. What is one book or podcast that you would recommend?
Instant Financial Podcast.
There you go. Super. That's a great
Shout out.
answer. All right. Is there a book besides that?
There's so many. I think probably almost anything by Malcolm Gladwell is a really good book to read. I think he's got a lot of really interesting topics.
That's true. I agree with that completely. So, all right. What is your favorite menu item at Cotton Patch Cafe?
It changes over time. Right now, the chicken fried chicken with the jalapeno gravy is like,
That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing for sure. All right. Last, what professionally speaking are you most excited about for Cotton Patch Cafe in 2026? What goal or item or something you guys may be implementing? What are you most excited about for Cotton Patch in 2026?
yeah, I'm just really excited about the growth trajectory that we're on right now from a same store sales perspective. I think, again, we're focused on inspiring more smiles in the restaurant, making it easier to run a cotton patch, exceeding expectations of our guests. And again, that's all coming together with reduced turnover, happy employees, providing great service to our guests who are coming back, great value that they're able to receive in terms of the food and the price and the experiences that they're, and we're just seeing, um, you know, crazy sales growth numbers. We're up 4.5% last year on sales, 5.5% on traffic. We're beating Texas casual dine industry by over 8%. And so coming out of the pandemic, all of the work that, all of our teams have been doing is really paying, dividends in terms of, the guests saying, yes, you're doing what we want. And then that's providing more opportunities to have the capital to build new restaurants and get back into growth. And come out to the Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia area.
Heck yeah, let's do it. I'm ready.
Yes.
So, well, that's good to hear. You guys are outperforming the industry and sounds like you're going for a great year in 2026. So, Stephanie, thank you for joining us on the Instant Payments podcast. You have so much hands-on experience that I know this will be valuable for others in the finance across the hospitality industry. To our listeners, you can learn more about Stephanie's work at cottonpatch.com and follow along with the new podcast episodes at instant.co/podcast. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. Stephanie, thank you again. Thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in to the Instant Payments podcast.
Thank you.